Well, hello. I'm back at the Lavra again, but today we're not going to be dropping off more vehicles to donate to the military. Today I'm actually going to go inside and I'm going to go underground. I'm going to go into the catacombs. Perfect rainy day to go exploring.
Over here. In 2020 we had a kind of restoration program.
So we met with the tour guide and my buddy to another part of it first because it's such a big place. I had no idea it was this big.
Destroyed the fence.
Kind of a Moscow Patriarch style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Google Maps tells you if it's a UOC or an OCU church. So you can like know what side you're getting on before you check out some cool church.
I didn't realize this till I got here, but there are two orthodoxies here. The Russian-controlled Orthodox and then the Ukrainian church. They were just talking about the architecture. They were saying that the Russian-backed one, they basically just knocked everything down and just built everything new, while the Ukrainians wanted to renovate everything, keep the original buildings, the heritage. It gets a lot more deep. We'll talk about it a little bit more later, but just you can see like the difference between the old renovated and the newly built. So there's a kind of a big divide between the two churches now. Who's going to control what?
There were scuffles outside a Kyiv monastery on Thursday after a Ukrainian branch of the Orthodox Church defied an eviction order. Kyiv accuses the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, the UOC, of having ties with Russia, and tensions over its presence at the 980-year-old monastery have risen since Moscow's invasion.
As head of the powerful Russian Orthodox Church, he holds a crucial role in society. The Patriarch of Moscow, Kirill, is the spiritual leader of 150 million faithful across the world. But with the war in Ukraine, he has also become part of Vladimir Putin's nationalism campaign. Their collaboration is clear in the Patriarch's sermons, like this one 3 days after Russia's invasion.
God forbid the current political situation in fraternal Ukraine, so close to us, should be aimed at making evil forces prevail. Forces that have always strived against the unity of Russia and the Russian Church.
Kirill, real name Vladimir Gundayev, was appointed 16th Patriarch of Moscow in 2009. Thus began a close relationship with Putin, one that continued in old tradition in Russia, the church being subservient to political power.
Also, we just drove through a hospital complex that Ukraine wanted to use to rehabilitate injured soldiers, but the Russian Orthodox priests blocked it and said, no, look, we don't want soldiers on the church ground, even if they are wounded and we have a hospital here. Because, you know, hospitals are kind of in short supply and kind of full around the country, right? With all the injured people going around. So that's another fight. But it's interesting. I've been to the top church part many times, but this is the first time I've actually seen this side of it. Normally you don't have access. Let's see what this guy's gonna say. Cover your head.
Yeah, please cover it.
And then we uncover.
Excuse me.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
And please use square.
So here are we inside. At least they kept this looks old. Yeah, it's really old. This is original, yes? Wow. So she needs to cover her hair. Oh, and her skirt.
Why more positive? Because it's saves. You see, this is it's more philosophical. Okay. Described a woman, Theodora. So physical death, it's her soul. Then angels, the guardians. Then good deeds, and but devils would represent bad deeds. And the main idea that it would be enough to get to the last.
Wow, so the good and the bad fight each other. for 40 days to see where you end up.
Probably during the first 40
Wow.
days, it's theology.
And then maybe we end up here.
He was the recluse, Isaac. The name was Isaac. It was the only way to continue to keep playing in the catacombs. The fragments of the ancients, but during the Moscow Patriarch, we don't know why, 19th century, they destroyed it. You died and insurged.
Oh, this is Nestor.
In the 17th century, you see the monks. Okay, modern historians in Japan, you see Dawood. This is treasures. Exactly. You see, engraving showing his actually. Okay. The hospital was first. Then he cooked food for ill common people. And you see, it was king doing also.
Alright guys, so we just came out of the catacombs. I couldn't show you guys too much in there, but really, really interesting. Some people say this is the second Jerusalem. There's over 5,000 monks buried down there. There's lots and lots of history. I mean, literally, like, there's so many saints down there, but also just different like historians, teachers. The founder of medicine is down there. Just like all these amazing people down there. Really, really, really impressive place. Some people are actively praying down there still. But to be fair, a lot of it was our guide saying, like, just telling us how much Russia has stolen and destroyed. A lot of them buried, well, not buried, a lot of the saints down there, the only thing they have left that's original are their shoes, the clothes, everything has been stolen by Russia and taken to Moscow. And those are all original.
It's 11 meters. We have a reconstruction program reviving most period services. And finance. This was also the project very important by clergy, because we wanted the Orthodox because of finances. And this is, you see, former porch, entrance to the King Church. This is the church.
So we're just passing through some really, really old, like 9th to 11th century BC artifacts that are found.
6 monuments, like they did in 1600s. Rebuilding for modern generation, the former, that was, but that used to be the former glory monuments. Okay.
Okay.
It's for the first 1917, 1918, and 1920 Ukrainians, then prohibited.
Wow, this is beautiful, guys.
In 1690s.
Absolutely beautiful. I cannot believe I didn't come in here last time. It's so beautiful here. Like, this is just as beautiful, if not more amazing, than the ones I went to in Italy and France and like across Europe. Like, Kyiv is so underrated. Like, I don't know why we are also impressed with the cathedrals in Western Europe, but not the ones in Ukraine. Like, there's just as much history, and now there's even more history with the fight between the Moscow-based priests and the Kyiv-based priests, or the Ukrainian-based ones. Like, religion isn't supposed to be politics, but it always has been, especially the ones in that are Moscow based, because a lot of them are like literally KGB trained. Absolutely beautiful, guys. And I'm assuming this was the original church. So they built the big church.
You see, it was the outside wall by the original, about 2 meters high, 1070s. Then it was one more church, baptistry building.
So it was the old original church.
Not destroyed by the Mongols, Chinggis until 1941. But in 1600s, and during that mythology, Kyiv is alternative to Jerusalem. We call it. It became a pot. Moreover, making allusions to Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
Because it's for Ukrainian mentality. So the most sacred place after Jerusalem for you and Belarusian people as well from Belarus. This is Kyiv and the catacomb monasteries. 1070s, they reconstructed it how it could be.
So this is what the outside of the church
Yes.
looked like.
And this was outside baptistry.
It's from where?
Oh wow, the marble.
The stone.
Well, probably we don't know where it was carved, but it comes from
It's
there.
cool to give us see up here. You can touch this original marble here.
This is even in the previous
These are
churches.
really old mosaics.
19th century, 19th came along with ceramics. Before.
And then 20.
This is more, yeah, 20. This is 1904.
Wow. I think most people aren't allowed up here, but we got a little backstage access.
Only this.
It's original.
No, but anyway, yeah, built anew to the wall of the 11th century. But
So getting a little history lesson. You can see Kirill, his Moscow priest here. So they were basically painting themselves on into history, and there's a lot of priests that anyone who was against Moscow historically has been painted over, painted out, and just kind of just wiped away. The Cossacks are all missing from here as well. So yeah, it's interesting that history is so tied with politics, unfortunately.
what years was this renovation? This is modern. These are modern leaders, by the way.
Yeah, but what year? Do you know what year?
Representing Russia. This was done after the war started. After the war started, 2000.
So this literal whitewashing of Ukrainian history was done with government funds just before full-scale wars had started. So as late as January 2021. And the theory is the Russian Moscow priests, they knew that the full-scale invasion was going to happen and that Kyiv was going to fall back under Russia. So they started preparing history to say, no. Kyiv has always been part of Russia. It's always been Russian. Look at this. And luckily, Russia hasn't been able to take over, because things like this on the wall, they would have said, no, this wasn't 2021. This has been forever. This is part of history. Look, it's on the walls of the church. You can't argue with that, right? It's right next to Jesus. It's as old as Jesus. It's as old as these apostles. That's crazy. That's insane. That is so wild. Look, right next to Jesus, guys. So, No. So if somebody like wanted to say that Kyiv was always part of Russia, so if the Russians tried to say if Kyiv was always part of Russia, what do you say?
It's wrong. False history.
But it's drawn on the murals. It's drawn on the walls.
They drawn it just before the full-scale invasion. This is what is called Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Moscow Patriarch. Also, unfortunately, those religious leaders were part of Russian propaganda and preparing for that hostilities against Ukraine.
That's a shame. It's always a shame to mix religion with politics, but it's even more shameful to mix religion with war.
It's part of hybrid technologies that they use today.
That's a shame.
It's a shame.
Decker. Centuries. Like how old is this?
Since these are the leaders of the monastery, historical leaders, since medieval times until 1600, 17th century.
Okay. And then these guys, what years are from?
This is modern monastery.
So they just add themselves to it.
No,
and say,
let me tell you, according to the latest Ukrainian government decision, so Orthodox Church of Ukraine, revived in 2019 by Constantinople Patriarch, should be modern monastery. And this is what we conduct the services since January 2022. Okay, representing Ukrainian actually tradition.
So he's trying to be politically correct, but from my point of view, medieval times. And then let's just draw our modern KGB monks right next to them and just be like, no, look, they're the same. No, they're not. Right next to Jesus. How crazy is that? So this is the Donetsk monastery?
Yeah.
And this was your hometown, yeah? So have you been there before?
I was born there.
Like, wow.
Just pictures.
They survived the
Even
Second World War.
Nazi
And Russia destroyed this.
modern Russia. Now they destroyed Donetsk.
Yeah.
Hitting it, making provocations, yes. Blaming Ukrainian army.
Yes. But 100%, like, if Russia never went to Donetsk, nothing would be destroyed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Donetsk, by the way, historical center is by John Hughes planning. Welsh
Okay.
Meteorological Enterprise.
So Russia constantly says that they never target civilian infrastructure or never target a church. But this is an expedition of over 40 that Russia has destroyed. And now it's actually been closer to 400 cultural objects, even churches, that Russia has destroyed. I've been to one, the one in Odessa, and that is 100% Russia's doing, and 100% if Russia wasn't invading Ukraine, zero would have been destroyed by a Russian strike or collateral damage. So you can safely say it's 100% Russia's fault. I would guarantee that, guys. It's crazy to have a destroyed church exposition inside of a church.
I was becoming emotional and forgetting.
This is what we just saw. This is 1941.
You see how they
After
spoiled
the cathedral was destroyed.
preparing for Russian invasion. They spoiled the historical part that survived and put Russian
When they
propaganda.
disfigured with the paintings upstairs. That's what we went upstairs.
This is Russian boxes of modern Russia. Because we're 16 kilometers from here.
Wow.
From this complex.
So I just got clarification on what they were talking about. That was the church that we were just in, where we were the second floor of. And the reason why it's destroyed in 1941 is the Soviets mined it when they were fighting the Nazis. Because the Soviets didn't care about religion, so they're just like, we'll just use this and, if we kill some of the invaders, we'll do it. So it's not the first time they blew up a church. So for anyone who thinks that Russia won't blow up a church now, they've done it so many times in history. I don't know why anyone doubts they'll do it again now. Alright, that was super interesting, guys. Really enjoyed that. I definitely recommend you guys take this tour if you're ever around, not just look at the outside. Big thank you to Pechersk Lavra for providing this tour, letting me see the inside, as well as the upstairs, which is actually closed to the public. I think that after this war, they're gonna repaint the top and get rid of all the, Russian KGB priests. The crazy thing, the head, so I need to explain this whole situation a little bit more deeply for those who don't understand it, because it is a bit complicated. But basically, the Russian Orthodox Church in Ukraine has always had a lot of power. Political power, but also just power over people. People who are really religious, they kind of believe everything the church says, what the priest says. And they are partially responsible for the Russian-speaking population in Ukraine for being very pro-Russian. Or just, or anyone who attends these serums. So imagine if the priests in the U.S. were tied to another country, not even a group, a political group, which wouldn't be allowed. But imagine if they're like, the Iranian church, was praising jihad in the U.S. Like, it wouldn't be allowed. So Ukraine asked them to leave and wanted to have just like non-KGB priests. They weren't banning religion. They weren't banning, Orthodoxy. They definitely weren't banning Catholicism or, Christianity or religion in Ukraine. They just didn't want these literal, like, Putin supporting, not even supporting, like, partners of Putin being there, rallying up people, spreading false propaganda, spreading lies, and literally hurting Ukraine, especially during war, and spying. So the Ukrainian government asked them to leave. They said, by this day, please leave. And this is where all the news controversy came up, all the propaganda came up, all these idiot, ultra right-wing people who hate Biden were like, look, Ukraine is banning religion, banning the church, stop supporting Ukraine.
With the full backing of the Joe Biden administration and the U.S. Congress, Zelensky has decided to ban it. Whatever you think of the war in Ukraine, it is pretty clear that Zelensky has no interest in freedom and democracy. Last week, he announced his plan to ban an entire religion, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and to seize its property, all for being insufficiently loyal to his regime. Now, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church is more than 1,000 years old.
And I'm like, are you guys, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. You've never been to Ukraine. You've never even been to Ukrainian church. You never spoke to anyone. It was so ridiculous, but it was such a bad look for Ukraine that, Ukraine had never used any force to get rid of these priests, and the priests are still there. Personally, I would have thrown them out. I would still throw them out. They told me, hey, Johnny, we need some big guys to lift some priests and be like, hey, you need to get out, put you on a bus to Moscow. I would do it. But Ukraine is too civil. They're too nice. They're like, we don't want to stir this up. We've asked them to leave. If they don't leave, there's nothing we're going to do about it. So I don't know what's going to happen with the church. Half of it now is the new, normal priests, and half of it are the Moscow-backed priests. I think there's going to be conflict in the future. I have no idea what's going to happen. It sucks. And yeah, it just sucks, guys. Let me know in the comments what you would do below.